Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are excited to present expert tips and tricks for mastering complex steel designs. In this session, we will explore advanced tools and strategies designed to enhance efficiency, improve precision, and optimize workflows in complex steel design projects. Our goal is to provide you with practical insights that will help you work smarter and achieve superior results. Let's get started. My name is Douglas Morton. I'm a technical specialist at Graitec. With 18 years of experience in the 3D modeling and documentation industry, I have specialized in delivering webinars, pre-sales demonstrations, training, and software customization to enhance user efficiency and project success. Today, we will be focusing on various tools which can help during the modeling and documentation process. We will look at queries and how they can be used, rollover tooltips and quick properties, a way to quickly get information about the elements, beam tools for placement in different ways, the PowerPack camera manager for better control and organization of cameras throughout the model, and how to control the detailed description typically placed underneath a 2D drawing. Let's begin by exploring how queries can be utilized within the model. This powerful tool allows users to locate specific elements based on predefined rules, but its functionality extends beyond simple searches. For example, queries can be used to extract elements for accurate bill of material processing and selective display in camera-based drawings. Additionally, this tool can help identify components that do not yet have associated shop drawings, streamlining quality control and project workflow. We're going to go through queries. There's quite a few things to queries that I don't think everybody knows, and I want to touch on a few of those things. First of all, what is a query? A query is a rule-based search that goes through the model to find specific objects based on their properties. And where can we find queries? How can we create them? First of all, I would typically come to the Home tab and go to my Project Explorer. I have it open here, but it'll open up. You'll get a little window like this that floats on top of your program. I dock it, so I'm just going to put it to the side, dock it over here, and then I get my Project Explorer. Okay. In the Project Explorer, you'll see this little question mark, and that is a query, or the ability to create a query. So I can open that up. You'll see it gives me the dialog. You can come down to where it says queries and right click. You can create a query from there. You also have under Project Explorer, search filter, and search filter is also a query. It'll bring up the same dialog. And you have in your tool palette under selection, which is this category, this button with the question mark on it, and that is also queries. Regardless of which way you open it up, they're all the same dialog, and when you save it, they come here inside the Project Explorer and list underneath where it says queries. I'm going to right click on that, create a new query. The first thing you want to do is kind of say, what is it you're looking for as far as, am I going through the entire model? Am I doing the current selection? And so on and so forth. You really don't have to change anything here, and I would recommend using complete model, so it goes through everything in your model to find what you're looking for. Objects is important. Do not do select all. You'll get really strange results. Their objects really shouldn't be going together, so I'll hit reset. What you want to do is you want to keep common type elements together, so you can do beams together, you can do plates together, you can even do beams and plates together because they're both objects. You can do in here bolts, anchors, shear studs, and that they're fasteners. You have the concrete elements here, isolated footing, continuous footing. You have also in here a camera that'll find the camera boxes. Typically, when you place a camera, you can give it a name, then you can search for that. Special parts, you have different things that you can look for. Just kind of keep the same type of elements together when you're doing a search. In this case, I'm just going to take steel beam. I'm going to go through some examples of what you can look for using a query. And one of them would be a model roll. So once I've said, yes, look through my steel beams, I'm going to go look for model rolls. And if you're modeling correctly, every part in your model should have a model roll. And I can come in here and I can say, look for model rolls. I'll check the box at the beginning. And then I get a drop down. You'll notice in this drop down, there are many different checkboxes, and you can select as many as you like. In this case, I'm just going to come in here and say beam. And you can see model roll beam, save, and I'll give it a name, beam, and then say OK. And what happens is every part in my model that has that model roll beam, okay, it now gets selected, and you can turn on this little light bulb and view just those elements and make changes as needed, or use just those to create lists or whatever the case may be. I'm just going to turn that off. If I come back into here now, I can also do things like coding or material. So if I were to create a new query, and I'm just going to right click on queries, again, complete model. I'm going to go through here, go through my steel beams. Now I put 10 beams in here with the coding galvanization just for this search. And I can come down here and I can look for different things. So behavior and attributes and fabrication, naming, and so on and so forth. I can choose what I want to look for. I'm going to come straight down here though. They have a section for beams, right? Actually, sorry, that would be the next one. Steel beams and concrete, length. We're going to do length next, tolerance. The coding, I must have passed it here, is, where are you now? Common properties, there it is right there, coding. So you can see it has the option for coding. I can choose it from here and then come down. There's my galvanized. Yeah, I can pick as many checkboxes from the drop down as I like, but coding, galvanized. Save. Right, just give it a name you're going to recognize and say OK. Once you've done that, and I still have the other one selected, so hold on a sec. Let me do this. Oh, I know why. Got to be careful you don't have any other properties selected. So if I look here, you see I have galvanized and I have none. So I need to come down. I think none is on by default, but uncheck it, save it, and say OK. Now I get just the ones that are galvanized, not the ones that have no coding. So now this shows just my galvanized items. So you can pull those out of the model because visually you wouldn't be able to see those. So this goes through and looks at all the properties and allows you to pull things out that you wouldn't normally be able to find easily. You can also do it based off length. So if I were to come into here, I could do another query, create a new query, right? Again, I'm just going to do my beams. And this time I'll come down to beams. This is where I came last time. Go to length. And under length here, I'll check the box and say, what length of beam am I looking for? I'll put 7 feet 11 inches. Save it. I'll call this short columns because I know that's what I have. Okay. Say OK. And here, I can check my box. I can see it pulled out all my short columns. Now the nice thing about this as well is you can use this to select certain items and create lists from that. So I want to get a list of these 3 columns. I can now do that. I can come into here and I can say I want to create my list. And I'm just going to come into here and maybe do a beam list. And if I pull it over, it's on the other screen, you can see there's those 3 columns, 7 foot 11, 7 foot 11, 7 foot 11, right? I got these 3 columns being pulled out because I created a selective list. It's not taking my whole model, it's taking the parts that I selected. So I can use my queries to find specific objects and create a selective list with it. So that's another item that you can do with your query tool. We also have the option to use these queries. So later on, when we're creating our drawings, we want to do a drawing. So for example, right here I have a camera. Let me just go to the properties. You'll see this camera is called Grid 1. Okay. And if I wanted to go into Grid 1, which I have here, that's Grid 1, I can go to the properties. I have my camera properties here. There's the Grid 1. And I can do select for objects, or select objects for camera rather. And here the objects, if I select them, yes, I can go in and manually pick them, but those are the only objects that will ever appear in my drawing are the ones that I've actually physically selected. If I put new items in there, they won't show up. But I also have the option here to use queries. So if I've created my queries, you're going to see that they show up in here. And now when I do this, well, I could say I want to create a drawing with my beams, which will give me all my beams going across. My short columns, I won't do galvanized. That'll give me the one in the front. So I'll get all my beams and I'll get that short column, right? And now I've selected that. If I create my drawing, I'll do this quickly. Create drawing. No, not all cameras, selected camera. There we go. It's done. I'll take that and show the camera detail. And you see it's done all my beams along that grid line and my short column, because that's what my queries offered. And it said, show anything that meets these rules. So you can do rule-based drawing production if you want. Where would that come in handy? Let me show you. If I wanted to do, let's say, just my railings, okay? I have the ability to come in and I could do a query, complete model, my steel beams, and I can come into my model role. And in here, I have things like handrail. I'll start with that. I've got handrail, handrail, handrail. Oops. Right, handrail. And we also have railing. So I'm just going to come down to railing. You might have to pick a few of them. I mentioned before we could do that. So there's railing, railing. I'll just go through and pick all the railing. And there's a few of these. Now you could do just the landing railings or just the stair railings if you want to be more specific. But there I'm just going to say handrail. Okay. And save. Now what that gives me is when I do this, you can see I get just my handrail. And if I wanted to now, I can create my drawings. I can say just my handrail drawings. So I can go in and I can create rule-based searches to find all my handrails and create, an overview of my handrails, my stairs, and just create kind of an overview of my stairs. So very quickly, you can pull these parts out, whichever parts you select, create your drawings of just those parts. Very quick way too to kind of organize it if you just want to see your handrails. And because it's rule-based, it's always going to find, if you put new ones in, it'll find the new handrails. You don't have to do anything. So what else can we do with queries? Well, I made some drawings before. Okay, you'll see I've got these drawings in here. And what I did was I did drawings besides this GA drawing of everything in this other building, but not this one. So it's a small off to the side building here. I created those drawings. What if I want to find out which drawings are not created? Maybe there's a little bit of overlap. Maybe a couple of the beams are the same and they showed up in here or whatever the case may be. So some of them are created, but not all of them. How do I find out which drawings I don't have? From queries, I can do something like here. I'm going to come through. I'm going to say, show me. And in here, I'm just going to say beams and plates, whatever I want to, pick as far as components is concerned. And then I can come through and I can continue doing this. What was that? Not numbering. Well, number is good too. I want to do all my single parts, right? So I can say single parts only under number. So in that way, it's only going to look at my single parts. And then I can come down and under behavior, I can see they have an option here for has single part drawing, and I can turn that on. If I come over here, when I turn it on, I have to click that, and now it will look for everything that has a drawing. There's a column that says not. If I check that as well, now it's going to look for everything that does not have a drawing, right? No SP drawings. Say okay. And if I look at this no SP drawing, if I check the bulb, it shows me these parts do not have a single part drawing. You'll notice the other structure completely disappeared, okay, because I've got the drawings for that one. On this one, they're either main parts or they have common parts between the two structures. And so what's different is the ones that are showing up here. These ones here are the ones that do not have single part drawings. In the case where the top handrail is missing, that's because it's the main part, right? So it's looking only at the single parts of each assembly. So if you need to figure out which ones don't have drawings, you can come back and do that. Same thing holds true. I can come back in. Steel beams as an example. Naming, numbering, sorry. Main parts only. Come down to behavior. Has assembly drawing. Click yes. I want to look for assembly drawings. And then not to do the opposite, right? I want to look for anything that doesn't have assembly drawings. Save. No MP drawings. Say okay. And save. Now when I do that, now it shows me all the main parts. There's your top rails and the handrails. Shows you all the main parts that do not have a drawing. So everything that was in that other structure is already done. This one, you can see a lot of it still needs to be done. So that's kind of what we get from queries. It gives you different ideas. You can look for objects, materials, lengths. You can put specific types of items together like handrails or stairs. You can search for which drawings are created or not created. And these queries, what's really nice about them is if you were to, let's say, start a new one. I want to come into here. I'm going to say new AS template. You can make your queries here, set them up and just do a save as, right? Save as drawing template. Next time you go to make a drawing, all your rule-based searches are already there. So you don't have to do this every time you go to make a new model. You can very quickly go in, set up all your rules once, save it as a template or a part of your template. And then when you start the new drawing, it'll come in with all of these rules already in place. And as you begin to model, they take effect immediately. So you don't have to do anything for these rule-based searches to actually work. All right. So that's it for the queries. We're going to head back and see what's next. Another useful tool we can use while modeling is the rollover tooltip. When the program is initially installed, the tooltip will display color, layer, and line type. We can add to this many different and useful items such as material, coding, part name, single part, main part numbers, weight, and more. In addition to this, quick properties can be set up in the same way. And setting these up makes getting information about a part quicker and easier. Let's take a look. Next, we're going to take a look at a tool that can help you pull out information from the parts without having to go into the part itself to find out. These tools are called the rollover tooltips and the quick properties. And what that gives you is the ability to just hover over a piece, a shape, a plate, whatever the case may be, and get that information just pop up in the tooltip. Or with the quick properties, you can select the part, right-click, and go to your quick properties. And then you can call the information up that way so that it shows into a little window. Let me show you how that's done. The first thing to set it up you're going to have to do is you're going to type in at the command line CUI, which is short for Custom User Interface. The dialog will appear. And in here, you're going to be able to set up your different elements that you want to see. So you'll notice in the top left window, we have quick access tools, quick properties, and rollover tooltips. And they work exactly the same way. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick the one you want to set up, or both if you want, and then come to this column that's in the middle. You're going to load into here the advanced steel elements that you want to get the properties of. So you can see here I have advanced steel beam and advanced steel plate. That's that AST. Now these don't come loaded by default, so if you don't see them there, don't worry. You just need to go up to the top. You're going to have a little button here. You're going to left click on that. And in here, you'll scroll down until you see AST. And you can see they got anchor, bent beams. They have all kinds of different things in here. There's grading and what have you. I have the beam and the plate already checked off. So you just check the boxes, say OK, they'll show up in this list. Once here, left click on them, and you can choose which properties you want to see when you're hovering over an object. You'll notice that color, layer, line type is the default ones. They're already there. But if you scroll down, now you have other aspects that are strictly related to the advanced steel parts. For example, user attributes. You have material, coding, name, model role, lot phase, things like single part mark, assembly mark. And you can keep going down. You can pick whatever it is that you want to see, whatever it is that you want to show up in that rollover tooltip. The plate is the same thing. You're just going to go through and pick the ones you want. You can see I picked very similar ones here as I did for the shape. And then you have things at the bottom like the thickness, length, width. So if you want to go through and choose the variables that you want to see, you can do that, select it, and when you're done, hit apply. If you're doing the quick properties, the setup is the same. Again, you're going to have to come up here and load the AST beam or the AST plate so that it shows up here. And then you can pick it, go through it, and choose the settings that you want. Hit apply, and when you're done, just say OK. What that gives you now is when you come into the model, if I were to hover over a shape, for example, you can see I'm getting the properties of that particular shape. Here I have, you can see material, coding is none, the name of the shape, the model rule, the lot phase that it's in, the single part mark, the assembly mark, okay, all of that comes into the tooltip. If I come down to the plate, I'm getting the same thing here. So here I have, there's my material, my coding, the name, the model rule, lot phase, the part marks, the thickness, and so on. So you get to set this up to call out the information as you see fit. In addition to that, if you want the quick properties, now I can just select it, right click, go to quick properties, and I get it in a little window here. It will only show up when I ask for it rather than every time I hover over something. So if you don't want to do it on the rollover, you can do it in the quick properties and get your information this way. I will point one thing out. The rollover tooltips, they're a little bit glitchy. So when you come into the program, when you open it up and you come in for the first time, in your model, go and hover over any shape. Doesn't matter if it's a beam or a column. Hover over a shape, an AST beam, and get the quick properties. After that, you can do whatever you like. You can go to the shapes. You can go to the plates. You're going to get the information about those objects. Not a problem from that point forward. If you come in after loading the program and you hover over a plate, the information might disappear. And then you would have to close the program and reopen it before the tooltips work again. Okay. With the quick properties, that's not an issue. But in either case, this is a very quick and easy way for you to get your properties of your parts so that you don't have to actually go into the parts every single time to find out the information about them. The beam and column placement tools are almost always used, but there are other options as well, which, in some cases, may be even easier, more flexible, and provide options you wouldn't get from typical shape placement tools. We'll look at 3 of these alternatives through the beam from line, beam polyline, and folded beam tools. All right, so here we're going to take a look at some alternative methods for placing shapes in. The lines that I have here are kind of similar to what we saw in the slide just a minute ago. And if I want to place shapes onto here, what I can do is I can use the different tools to do that. So what happens if I want to have a curved shape like this? I have the option here to say beam polyline, right? Or beam on polyline. And if I left click on that, it asks me to select a line, an arc, or a polyline. And I'll just click the object there and then pick the line. When I right click, it says delete the selected object. So if I want, I can get rid of this polyline now. I'll say no, I'll keep it. And this gives me now my shape is on that polyline. Very quick, very easy. I can have it follow any path I want there. And you can see it's going to follow it. Let's say somebody gave me a 2D drawing with lines that shows where all the beams need to go. Rather than coming in and drawing a beam left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and so on, what I could do is I could come into here and I could use this tool. We have beam from line. So this will look at the lines that you select and place beams directly onto them. Left click on that, and I'm going to pick them all at the same time. You don't have to do them one by one. Right click. Do I want to get rid of the lines? Yes or no? And then my beams will come in on those lines, specifically the ones that I select, the length of the lines that were there. And then I can go through the properties and set that up however I like. The third tool for placing in a beam, and that gives us the ability to go and I can create the shape ahead of time that I want to use. This one here is going to be the folded plate. It's right there. That's rather folded beam, not folded plate. And if I left click on that, it says, first of all, pick my polyline, my circle, or my arc. Right? So we're just going to do the polyline first. And there's the shape that I specified. I'll pick that. The next thing that it asks me is, like in all shapes, they have this red line that goes through it. It's a system line, or you'll notice it goes along that curve. It'll go along the beams. Where do you want that system line to be placed? Is it going to be the bottom left corner, bottom right corner, top corner? Where is that system line? Where are you going to place it? So I just picked a corner up here. And then it asks me to draw it in. So once I've said where I want my system line to go, I can then pick the start point, pick the end point, and I'm going to get a shape come in. Okay, you can see the shape is basically what you see down here. And I can say that point that I specified, is that the inside contour, outside contour? We'll see that a little bit better if the line's thicker. So let me do this. So if it's inside contour or outside contour, you'll notice where is that point represented? Is it the inner thickness or the outer thickness? Which corner is this? And then the rest of it will follow from there. Okay. If I want the corners rounded, we have the option down here to say I want to have maybe corner 3 and 4 to be rounded. So we'll just come in here. I'll do a 1-inch round there. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see it. 3-inch. There you go. And 3-inch. So you can see now you can have those corners with a rounded edge if you want. So you can pick the corners. You can see it gives you a diagram of the shape that you drew. Then basically labels all the corners, and then you can pick that corner, put a radius in. The rest of it is just like any other shape. You're just going to go through and set the properties. But this gives you the ability to do a folded shape, whatever contour you want. It can't be something symmetrical like an I-beam because there's no way to go across, do the web, and then go to the bottom flange without going over top of itself. You also can use this if you come into here. You can say I want to do a folded beam again. Pick the circle, and this time I'll select the circle. Okay, where is the central point located? So I'll pick the center point, and then just like before, start and end. And you can see it's going to create that circle, basically the size that I specified here. So if I needed to have a tube of something, I didn't want to do it with plate, I wanted to create a shape, but I don't have it in my database, I could draw a circle and I end up getting that shape come out. Now these shapes are not stored in the database, you'll have to create them each time. So if you plan on doing this more than once, you might want to take your line and put it off to the side so that you can create it again when needed. But this gives you the ability to go in very quickly. You can draw beams along curves. You can place multiple beams at the same time along existing lines. You can generate a shape, the path that your shape will follow, and then create the shape out of that path. Or create a hollow tube if you wanted to on a circle, and whatever size you like, and have that come in. If you are making models which contain a large number of cameras for GA drawings and detail callouts, then you might want to take a look at the Camera Browser tool. This tool gives you the ability to manage all your cameras in one location, as well as change or update any of the settings. You can adjust the text that is displayed below the detail, change the scale, or change the other chosen elements for a particular camera all from one place. I should note that this is a PowerPack tool, but if you're interested, Graitec can help you learn more. Let's take a look. If you've ever tried to track the cameras that you have in a model, you'll find that after a while it becomes very difficult. In this particular case, I only have a few cameras. You can see here I've created views for grid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've done a connection view. So there's only 6 of them in here. But first of all, where are they? What are their properties? If I wanted to check to make sure I did everything correctly, I would have to go through them one by one, right? So I'd have to open it up, go to the properties, come to my camera properties, take a look at what it is. Does this suit my needs? And then go back and go to the next one and continue the process like that. And if I'm not using the model views to create my cameras, it becomes even more difficult because we have the cameras over here, which we can place in. We can set these up, but these don't even show up in the list along the side. So now I gotta find each of my cameras that I placed in my model, physically go to them, and then from here, adjust the advanced properties to make changes. One of the things that we have, and this is with the Graitec PowerPack, is a camera browser. So if you're interested, this is not through Autodesk, this is through Graitec, you let us know. We have a bunch of tools in here that help out with modeling. We're just going to look at this one for today, and that's the camera browser. If I left click on that, you'll see that the cameras all come in here, all at the same time. I don't have to open them up one by one. Everything gets listed. I can resize the box if I need to. And it shows me each of my cameras. So there's grid 1, it's intersection. So if I want to check my camera types, did I do them correctly? I can come in here and I can do that. And if I want to change them, I can change them right from here. I don't have to go back to the camera to do it. All the information that's in the cameras are listed here, and I can make adjustments to them as needed. The drawing styles, if I want to change them, I can access them from here. And what's even nicer about this, you'll notice that it says Advanced 2, Advanced 3, which is the out-of-the-box drawing styles. If I have my own, I can just check on user styles. And then when I do the drop-down, now you can see all my user styles are listed. They have in here all the same settings you would normally get. So you can see, is the model view for the camera activated, right? So when you have to go into your model views and activate the camera from here, if you missed one, you'll see it here. You can fill out the information and turn it on. You also have the ability to control the different items. So if you manually selected something and you want to come adjust that, you can just click on the 3 dots and then go in and pick the parts that you want selected. You remember earlier we went in and we did our queries in that, and I showed how queries could be used inside of the camera. So here we have beams, short columns, right? I can erase that. I don't want that. Or I can come back in, I can pick it. I want my beams I want my short columns. Maybe I want my handrails or whatever. And I can choose the parts that show up from here rather than having to go through it. And if I have several cameras and maybe I added in a new query that I want to use with them, well, I can come here and select it for each of them without having to go through it one by one. I can even mark the selections, and you can see in the model everything that I picked using the queries for that particular item is being selected. And if I want, I can clear the marking right from here as well. So here, all of my camera properties are being controlled. I have the ability to go in and change my styles. I did mention the GA style, but I can do that as well. And then when I do the drop down, I get only my GA styles. I don't get my single part or assembly styles, just the camera ones. I can set up so I can see my user styles. I can go and I can change descriptions. I can even add in tokens here. Grid line, camera level, intersection to the description so that it calls that information out. So the camera browser, for anybody who does a lot of GA drawings or uses a lot of cameras in their model, this is an exceptional tool. It helps you track everything. You get all the information at a glance. You can modify everything from that dialog and update it without having to go through your model, find the camera, adjust them one by one. And this is part of the Graitec PowerPack. Without diving into the world of drawing styles, this is a simple question that I'm often asked. How do I change the title that shows up below my drawings? The good news is you do not need to know how to work with drawing styles in order to change this information, and changing it is perfectly safe to do so. If you want to dig further into the drawing styles though, I recommend backing up the installed files as they are before doing so. This way you can always revert to the current setup if anything should go wrong. With that said, however, let's jump in and see how titles can be changed. All right, so we're going to take a look now at how we can change the title underneath the details within our drawings. If you're like me, you want to work on a white background, it kind of looks like a sheet of paper, you'll notice that the style is not really set up for the white background. The writing in there for the part number is in yellow and it doesn't show very well. If I come in here, I'll zoom in, you can see there's that 507, right? It's hard to read on the white background. The nice thing is we can change that. Now, yes, you can double click on it and you can make the changes from here, but then you're going to have to do that for every detail from now on. There's an easier way to do that. What you're going to want to do is you want to come to the Labels and Dimensions tab, and you can take the button that's over here called Change Detail. Okay, and all this is going to do is it's going to give us information about this detail. That's all. It'll be the same thing as if we come to the outer green frame here, which is our detail frame, and double click on it. We have some inner ones, those are called views. The outside one is the detail. So you can either take the button up here or the green frame and double click, and you're going to get this dialog. From here, you can also change the title, but again, you're going to have to do it every time. So what I want to do from here is I want to get what is the name of the drawing style that was used to create this drawing. And you can see here it's 5-B. So I'm going to go change the drawing style 5-B. I'll come to the Output tab, and right beside the Document Manager, I have my Drawing Style Manager. And if I click on that, it'll bring up my Drawing Style Manager. In here, we have two areas, Advanced, which we can't change. These are locked. It's all grayed out. You wouldn't be able to make any changes. And we have User, which is where you can make your changes. Now, I don't necessarily recommend coming in here and making changes on the fly. A lot of these styles are interconnected, and changing one could affect a lot of the other ones. So if you make the wrong change, you might fix that one style, but then mess up another 10 styles besides that we're using the same component. So be very careful when it comes to drawing style managers. If you want to dig into it, back up your USA folder or back up your files before you actually start making your changes. Where the title of the detail is concerned, though, you don't have to worry. Changing this does not touch or affect any other style. So I can come directly here under user. I'm going to go to that 5 beam, and the second tab, it says detail title. This is the area we want to focus on. And you can come in here and set it up however you like. So if I want to change, for example, the color of this, maybe I can go from a green to maybe a blue. You can see the writing changed. The one in the middle here, I'll do the same thing. I'll change that. Now that's a blue. Maybe I don't want this to have a frame. I could take that out. I could say I want all of this to be a 1/4 inch, make it larger. And maybe underneath here, I don't want this information. I want to just put scale. So I could come in here, for example, and type scale. It's just text, that's all that is. And then from the drop down near the top left corner, I have different tokens. And I can come through here and pick the information that I want called out. Since I pick scale, that's what I'll choose here. And you can see it puts it in after the text. Now that's not the information I'm going to get, that's just representational. But it will call out the information when the drawing is created. And now what I've done is I've taken out that yellow text. I've replaced some of the tokens with something that I wanted in here, and I'm finished. This is good. By the way, you can also do cut view title as well without worrying about affecting any other style. So now I'll hit apply and I'll say okay. And I'm ready to use this. Now, if I wanted to, from there, I could have said use. So I could take this and I could say use, and I could use it on the drawing I have right here. It'll update it. But I don't want to show you how to update each drawing one by one. I want to show you how that change is going to affect every new drawing that gets created. So I'm going to close this. And I'm going to make a new drawing. I'm going to pick something that I haven't made a drawing of. So let me come up here and here, I'll pick one of these beams instead. Keep in mind when you're going to make the drawing, here I'll just select that. I'll go to drawing processes, okay? And I'll do selected, and that beam is selected. But I want to make sure that I'm under my user settings, because the little flag that you see up here at the top of your drawing process dialog or your palette is the out-of-the-box styles, the ones that are locked, the ones that can't be changed. So you have to click on that to change to this little blue guy, which is your user styles. This is the one we just modified. So now I'm going to go to my user style. I'm going to say make a drawing of that beam using, and selected camera, page full, and ZD. I'll say okay. And if I look at this now, is it not numbered? Let me just double check. Make sure everything's numbered. Oh, I'm doing camera. That's not a camera. I'm down here, assembly selected. That's why. Selected assembly, each NZD. There we go. Now the drawing will get created, and I'll show the assembly detail right from here. And you can see there's that new drawing. There's that new title underneath. Okay, so every drawing that I create now is going to have that new title under my drawing versus the old one that came out before. So if you need to make a change to your 2D drawings as far as the detail title is concerned, that's how you go about doing it. Double click the outer green frame, figure out what the drawing style is. Come to the output tab, go to your drawing style manager, and under user, find that style. You don't want to dig down into it, just find the style. Go to your second tab and set it up however you want. When you're done, hit apply, and every drawing that you make now from that point forward is going to come out with your new drawing title. Hope that helps. Let's take a look at a few of the things that we covered today. First, we had the queries. Here we saw how queries could be used in different ways and saved to a template so that they're always available. Next was the rollover tooltips and quick properties. And we saw how we could set up the program so information about a part could be found quickly. Following this, we had the beam from line, beam polyline, and folded beam tools. And these tools showed us how we could use different methods for placing our shapes quickly into our model. Next was the PowerPack camera browser. And this is just one of the useful tools found in PowerPack. The camera browser helps us to manage the many cameras that are often created while modeling. And finally, we have adjusting the detail description underneath the drawing. And this was a look at the drawing style settings that could safely be adjusted without affecting other drawing styles. The drawing detail description is one of the most requested changes in the 2D output. If you've enjoyed this presentation and would like to see more, please feel free to visit the asti.com/calendar to see a full list of upcoming webinars. Hope to see you there. Thank you for joining us today, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.